schools, female spectators in sports stadia, women joining the Defence Forces, and of course allowing women to drive from June this year. So if I can ask the question first to Your Highness, in your experience, how have these changes and increases impacted you and your organizations? And what additional changes do you believe or change would actually make the most significant impact in increasing women's participation in the workforce?
Thank you for your question. I think the first and most notable thing that changed everything for all of us was the placement of the women into the Shura Council. Previously, it was men talking about women's issues, which was wonderful, and we thank you for it, but the point of view of a man addressing a woman's issues is very different than the point of view of a woman addressing a woman's issue. And what you've noticed is the escalation of subjects that women would perhaps prioritize over others because they affect us on our daily lives. And that's not a dialogue that's going to stop tomorrow or even 10 years from now, because as each society evolves, its needs will change. And once you remove one pressure point, other ones will come up from it. I think the thing that will most benefit women in sports is not the allowance, but the inclusion of women into the sports sector from the sports economy point of view, because right now we have the female athletes, but what we're missing is the ecosystem around them. So what I'm looking for and what we're trying to do and empower and enable is the amount of women that have careers in sports. So it's the trainers, and those trainers, by the way, a lot of people seem to focus exclusively on gyms and athletes. We're looking for female engineers that could work in stadiums. We're looking for female physiotherapists and people in the medical fields. We're looking for the scientists in sports science. So if you could look at every single degree that exists in the world and add sports before it or after it, those are the value chains of education that we'd like to have for women, because that's what will help enable and enhance the role of women as the athlete, who's the end product of the full ecosystem. So from my point of view, in that capacity, that's what we're looking for, and that's what will really tip the needle for women, because otherwise the women who would like to excel in sports will constantly have to go out to get the expertise that they need in order to excel. True of men also, by the way. It's not just a woman's experience. And I would express that if you look at Mo Farah trains in Los Angeles, California, by the way. And there's a reason why he does that, because the environment there is excellent for him. So what we're saying is, how can we create that environment of excellence in Saudi Arabia for the woman that perhaps cannot leave or cannot, her background doesn't allow for her to do that? Let's try to have as much as we can at home. And for us, again, that's job creation. But changes for women will only be made as more women achieve leadership positions in the decision-making process, and I think we're on track.
Thank you so much. Sports is certainly a massive area of opportunity for bringing women talent into the workforce. Your Excellency, what are your thoughts about the changes that have been significant and what you would like to see change?
Thank you very much for having us today, and we are also excited about the partnerships happening between the two kingdoms, and we are, everybody is so motivated and excited of implementing these partnerships that are happening. Regarding women empowerment, I think the things that are happening now in Saudi Arabia are not, I cannot call them as changes. I call them as the progress in women empowerment, because women empowerment started years ago, since the start of education, 1960s. So the country have invested so much in women education to bring us today to be able to achieve what we are achieving and to lead the sectors we are leading. Today, when women are able to are appointed in positions, we are not just appointed for the sake of having a woman in the board. It's because she is capable of doing the job. And this is part of empowerment. All the changes that happened, or all the empowerment that happened, yes, it was a bit slow, but it was steady. Changes were slow but steady. Whenever we take a step forward, we never take a step backwards. Today, everybody is ready. Women are ready, so we are accelerating. You can see the changes happening so rapidly. This is why everybody thinks that, well, it's a change. It's not a change. It's a continuous progress of empowerment. At the Ministry of Labor and Social Development, women have a major focus. We have a lot of projects going on. One of them is increasing women participation in the labor market. We have 11 initiatives to support women in the labor market. Today, empowering women economically is not a luxury, it's a must. Economically independent women are capable of taking their own decisions and having their own choices. So today we have these initiatives to support women. One of the initiatives is helping women and supporting women to have more leadership jobs. Also, we are supporting women to have more training and preparing her for the labor market. There are projects now that we have is the women localization. Today, every Saudi woman can work in any available job in the market. There's no restrictions. We are there setting the right environment for her to work, preparing women to go to any job she wants to go. So things are pushing towards women economic empowerment. Of course, there are other things that we're working on, such as enabling women, unfortunate women. We are enabling them to be more independent instead of waiting for subsidies to be able to work and participate. The other thing we are working on is supporting women with disability and helping them to be part of the workforce and not to be dependent. And a few weeks ago, the Commission of People with Disability has been announced, and we are all the sectors that are involved in this sector.
Since it's International Women's Day, they were talking about actually females in IT and how can we attract more females and girls to STEM. Let's talk about Ada Lovelace. She was the first programmer in 1815, and that was based on mathematics. So programming at that time was a niche and dominated by not only that, but also connectivity and infrastructure. Having our population very young, tech-savvy, 48% of that young tech-savvy population are females, and all of them are connected. They are online. So it will enable knowledge sharing, communication, and that is changing the narrative of our females and how they think and how they are progressing in their careers. So rather than becoming job seekers, they're becoming job creators for males and for females. Also, rather than becoming consumers to technology, they are becoming producers to technology. So you see a female in a remote area or a village connected online, opening a retail store, an online retail store, and technology will enable and expedite our growth in achieving our goal in getting females in the workforce from 20% to 30% as our progression in 2030.
Thank you so much. And actually that makes a really good segue to Basma, because with your role at Sagia, it's so important to look at women at all parts of the workforce. And what you're saying about female entrepreneurs, and I'd read that if you look at startup businesses in Saudi, about 40% of startups are by women, so the power is there. So if we put a slant on that, Basma, of how you can see and how you can see how these changes can help women in investment in Sagia and direct investment.
Okay. So before I answer that, I'd like to first say that today's a special day, as we all know, because it is International Women's Day. And I, like my distinguished panel members, are very proud to be Saudi women and to be here with all of you today. So Sagia is the Saudi Arabian General Investment Authority, and with the bold vision, of 2030 that we are implementing and executing, we are telling everyone that we're open for business. And we're open for business not only for investors who are men, but equally so for investors who are women. Of people that we've been meeting, whether it's in the UK or globally, we are making that point very clear. And when you look at the business environment that we have in Saudi Arabia, we don't discriminate. There is no discrimination between whether you're a man or a woman. Investments, as His Excellency Dr. Majid always says, has no borders, has no gender, has no race. And so I think we are right now there. It's a golden opportunity. It's a very prime opportunity to actually promote Saudi Arabia to bring in women investors, because the playing field is equal. It's equal for all, whether it's an international investor or even a domestic investor. And also, what's unique about Saudi Arabia, there are many unique aspects, but one of its uniqueness is it's a very warm, friendly, welcoming, and safe environment and community. And it's a place where I think many women investors would love or would be happy to bring their family, where they could, have a very comfortable family life. They could, thrive and further develop. And different reforms that are taking place, the opportunities are vast when it comes to business. But I would also have to agree with Her Excellency, Dr. Tamadar, in that women were empowered, have been empowered in the past in Saudi Arabia. And if I just use myself as an example, I started my career back in 2000. And at that time, I was responsible for leading a major diagnostic laboratory in one of the military hospitals. And I had military soldiers who reported to me, being a woman. And what I found, from that experience, which was extremely rewarding in many ways, is that you are respected as an individual, not based on your gender, whether you're a man or a woman. You are respected based on your professionalism and your knowledge. And I think, that obviously, I still see that, there today. But I think right now, because we're unlocking a lot of sectors, we are, promoting, we're empowering women more, so the opportunities are just more, are just greater.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, Rania, we heard how Samba has actually been at the forefront of building talent over the decades. So, if a similar vein, but there are so many changes. You're, in the headlines. Your company's in the headlines. What changes do you think need to continue to be made in order to accelerate the empowerment of women through the private sector or the publicly listed companies?
Okay. Thank you for having me here with this lovely bunch of ladies. The changes that we've been seeing are like planned change. 65% of our university graduates are female, so we've been there since ever. We have a lot of universities and a lot of specialties that are being opened in the university. Now, currently, we have 300 colleges. And after that, there's the National Scholarship Program, where 20% of the participants into that program are ladies. So females are being prepared. We were there. We've been there. We were ready. We were just waiting for the trigger to excel and to be more visible. So when the tone from the top came that sky is our limit for our country, then we started to see all the synergies among the government, private sectors, towards empowering all the limitless possibilities of inclusion, diversity, equality. And we've seen a lot of support towards adding and including more the mentorship, the preparation, the training, the right training for women to take more positions and to have larger percentage to be represented on boards and on higher positions. So this is what we're lacking. You've talked about Samba. Samba is a good environment, an excellent environment for female workers, because there's no gender parity there. It's been established this way, and that's why it was the right environment to excel. But we have to see this as an example across both a public and government sector.
No, thank you so much. And actually, that's a very good question to you, Poppy, because I understand that your company is actually very heavy and rich in diversity. And it's not, you wouldn't want a company to be 100% female either, because you lose the diversity that the men bring. But Bobby, so how did that happen? So how have you achieved that in your company?
Absolutely. So our business is 5 years old, and during that time we had some very rapid growth. So we're now at sort of 650 people. And what was really important during that time was just to hire the brightest and best minds. And I can honestly say that gender was irrelevant. I think it's perhaps no coincidence that we've got 2 women in the leadership of the organization. And I think that certainly helps to have those women in those leadership positions and make it realize that this is something for everyone. It's not an exclusive club that either belongs to one gender or the other. The other thing that I think allows women to thrive is having the infrastructure in place that enables women to work. So, for example, it could be through flexing, or it could be through shared maternity, paternity leave. I think that's as important as demonstrating that we take women seriously and that women are leadership. But whilst we have almost half of our workforce is women, it's easy to forget, especially when I spend so much time within my business, that that's not even always the case. Even here in the UK, especially within the technology sector, for every 1 woman, there's at least 10 men. And, very regularly at events, I will go to them and see an audience of men's faces looking back at me, and it is a bold reminder that we're not quite there yet as an industry.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to be a bit bold here and ask a controversial question, because back in early 2000, when I started setting up PwC's own Women in Leadership organization, the same time there was a white paper that said we should have at least 25% female participation on boards of the FTSE 100 by 2015. So we set that as we've made a lot of progress, but sad to say, by 2015, we weren't there. And even 2018, 30% of FTSE 100 companies that have less than 25% of women on boards. Norway, on the other hand, said we're going to set a quota, 50%, and they went straight down the line. And I think France and Belgium followed. So, a very controversial question, and you don't all have to answer this. Should you look at quotas? Should you look at targets? Should you look at neither? Who wants to jump in on that one? Yeah.
Well, that's really a smart question. So, I think it's different experiences depends on the setup in the countries. Now, if you set up quotas, you kind of put force on companies to put women, and you don't know how these women are, women or men are going to perform. I think the best way to do it is have the best person be in that position, the person who is really going to be performing well and adding to the board or to the committee or to the leadership position. But on the other hand, you should remove any obstacle that could be in a woman's way in reaching that position. And that is exactly what the Convention of the Eliminating All Sorts of Discrimination Against Women is, to have the way set for women to reach the position she is eligible to have. But it could be after some time we find that quotas could be a solution, but in a different setup or in a different situation, it's possible. For the time being, we think Saudi women are strong, they're not shy, they're very capable. Saudi men are very supportive, they've always been supportive, and there's more support coming now. I don't think we need to put pressure. We are going there.
If I could also add, more than putting the quotas and perhaps the percentages, what would be more interesting is to create all of the correct training necessary to increase equal competition. And again, I'll flip this to sports. can't pay someone to be a faster runner. You can't pay someone or wish and hope and dream to make them be a better athlete. They have to put the time in. So if we look at it from a point of view of a meritocracy, what you can do is allow everybody the equal opportunity to have the skills. So that's not just education, that's vocational in many sectors, and then they compete on an equal level ground. And I think for us as women, we don't want to be tokens, and every single one of us on this stage has been branded a token at some point. I know I have, I see it on Twitter all the time. But we don't sit and wait for somebody to give us the opportunity. We have to prove and show how and why we can do better. But equally, I think women need to open the door for other women. We are not and should not be in lifelong positions. We should respect the fact that each of us has a time to give and open for the next, but create the development pathways, and that's also how we remove obstacles to allow more women into the dialogue.
If I can add on as well, it's about quality and not quantity all the time, but the thing is also, as Her Highness said, it's about the support system that you have with you. Mentorship, sponsorship is very, very important. And I can generalize that all of us here on the panel, if we didn't have male sponsorships and mentorships that supported us and helped us to reach where we were, we wouldn't be here right now. So I think that it's a two-way direction, and we do need to identify our opportunities. We do need to identify where do we want to reach, and then we look for what are the, let's say, opportunities that will upskill us, and the offerings that are already there from our male colleagues to support us and help us grow.
So a plea to a lot of the male colleagues in the audience is to actually to take on those roles of mentoring and sponsoring. And actually, it's not just mentoring, because sponsoring has another connotation to it. It's actually supporting somebody through, pushing them to challenge them to take an opportunity, and helping to open the doors for them to come through and to. We've got the talent. You're telling me all of the qualified graduates. The talent is there. It's actually sponsoring it through, and also women doing their part in sponsoring. But there are so few at the top. You can't sponsor everyone. So, in terms of sort of barriers or infrastructure that has changed, I think you mentioned training programs. So, do you have a comment on how we can put together a more cohesive infrastructure to help the people in the middle to come through? We've educated them. We've got great degrees. We've got some people at the top. How do we actually get the people in the middle board ready?
Okay, actually, this is by giving them the chance just to be themselves. You just go, put them on the table, and let them take their way forward, and help them to go and chase and run for the opportunities that are available for them. They should not wait for recommendation and invitation. So your establishment or wherever you work, on people where you can see that they have all the aspiration to take it towards the top. And then you create a mentoring system. The mentorship is really important for people, especially in a country like Saudi Arabia, and especially for females, because the majority of us, when we got graduated, we just entered to the workforce, to the institutions that were available for us then. So without having the right mentorship, where you know that there will be like hidden jewels all over the place, all what the mentors and the leaders should do is to shine that and to know where they should be placed through the right leadership programs, through the exchange platforms. For instance, currently we have a lot of partnership with different countries, so we have to do some exchange programs, orientation, having people going on-the-job training towards world-class, for instance, banking, if world-class banks, or towards the sports, so they go to other authorities or through the government. And we see people in countries that actually had strides towards having a lot of leadership positions where smoothly it was paved for women. So it's having, you know, an ecosystem where you can make the work environment more, I will not say female-friendly, but more family-friendly.
Yes.
So because there is a fact that, you know, only women got pregnant. So this is a fact that we have to deal with. So that's why, you know, a lot of female that work in organization, and especially in Saudi and or in our part of the world, where there's a social pressure that, you know, women should raise the kids, should take care of the family. So they reach to a stage in their career life after the 5th or 6th year where she's about to be at the middle management level or about to be a unit head or a branch manager, and she got pregnant and she has all this pressure that either she has to quit the work to raise the family or to quit the work or to pause and then, you know, to come back to the work. So there should be a lot of programs. Currently, the Ministry of Labor has actually this child care program where we have now more than 200 child care centers to support female workers. So there has to be some flexi time, part-time working hours, working remotely, to make it easy for a female, you know, to raise her family, not to have any burden, and then she rise up.
That's very true. And Poppy, could I bring you in here? Because with such a large proportion of women in the workplace in your company, what do you do that actually helps people through that middle stage of their career where they want to maybe take a bit of a pause and then come back?
I think encouraging women into those leaderships, it's as much about equality of responsibility and also opportunity. So taking away sort of any unfair impediments that are perhaps more weighted or towards a woman than they would be a man, I think is first and foremost a very important thing. And then, as I was saying before, about showing women in those leadership roles, showing that it can be done. We talked earlier about mentorship, and I think that's something that women can do amongst themselves and share best practices and experiences, but mentorship should also be with your male colleagues and understanding what they've done and how they may have tackled roles. So I think it's, especially when people are stepping into new frontiers, seeking the guidance and the wisdom of people that have done that role before is something that's always very important. Thinking about my own personal experience, one of the things is the shared responsibility. When I think about parenting and family, my children are as much my husband's responsibility as they are mine, and that's a shared responsibility and one that I'm very proud of and has enabled me to continue to work in the way that I want to.
Thank you.
And if I could just add, since today is International Women's Day, as much as we are proud to be career women and working 9 to 5, if not more sometimes, I think we also have to honor the woman that chooses to stay at home with the children. And I've said this before, she is and must be looked at as the COO, the head of operations of her household. She handles logistics, she handles supply chain, she handles mobility, and she's actually also HR because she's growing the development of the future capital of the country. So I also think we need to make sure that we respect that woman as much for her place in society for raising the next generations as we do in mentoring the next generation of women in the workplace.
And absolutely right. And actually, if I could just say something for the men, I benefited from when my daughter's now 18, 16, when I had my daughter, my husband gave up work, and he has been the house husband and raised the family. And I applaud him because his job is not a 9 to 5 job, and I couldn't have done what I've done without his support. So it is, as you said, this is a joint responsibility, which there may be cultural norms, but we all need to work together to support each other in achieving our dreams and our children's dreams.
I totally agree with you. Building women capabilities and abilities is not only in the work, it starts from home. I personally always been my father's star. So, I mean, he also always saw me the star of everything. And he told me to spread my wings and fly where I go. And to my husband, I am the VIP citizen. So whatever I say, I get. So being being in that environment has built so much in me that I can always dream and accomplish my dreams. And so empowering and supporting is not only in the workforce and in jobs. It starts from homes, from fathers, from brothers, from husbands.
Yeah,
Sorry,
if I may add to that as well, it is very important to bring in females in the board room, but also I feel that thought leadership is really important as well. Each and every female, regardless of any position, she represents a leader. And a very nice story I would like to add to it, that MISC Foundation has a very nice program, which is the fellowship and trainingship, where they send young Saudis to work and learn by doing in the headquarters of a lot of their partners, like the Microsofts and the Ciscos and the Oracles. So they chose 5 engineers. 2 of them were females, and they sent them to Siemens to work in their engineering departments for 1 month. The thing is, the females were very reluctant. They were 2 engineers, and they said, okay, what is the wardrobe, and how should we react, and how is it there in the engineering departments in Siemens? And then what MISC told them is, okay, go there and explore and see how it is. They went there. Ironically, is that there is no females in the engineering department in Siemens. And they were 2 Saudi females that gave a very good representation there. They came back, and they were the reason why Siemens recruited 4 German females. After that, these 2 females become mentors for the 4 German females in Siemens.
Wow, that's amazing, and Saudi leading the way there. So I'm just looking at the clock. I know I've been checking. I haven't seen questions from the audience, but it could be my ability with technology is not that great. If you do have a question from the audience, wave your hand, and I'll make sure that we get to you. Oh, somebody's waving their hand at the moment. Is that right? Yes? I don't know how we get a question from the audience. Can we get a mic over there? But while we're waiting. Yes. Oh, you've got one. Okay.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Happy International Women's Day. My name is Fadi Yahya. I'm a founder of a Saudi startup working in hobbies, enabling people to learn hobbies, and I work as a consultant in behavioral economics for King Salman Youth Center. Without that long introduction, 2 points. First thing, from my experience working in hobbies, I've noticed something very strange, that most of the people who used our platform were females. So that was like about 90%. And that made me think deeply about the differences between men and women. So I got deeper and tried to understand why women actually taking that choice. So I learned that women are more hardwired biologically to think community, while men are thinking lowly most of the time. My point is, we are thinking a lot about women excelling in the system of corporate. The system of corporate is not permanent. It's not something that have been there since ages. It's something new. And instead of thinking, how can we fit women into the system, I think we should think what criteria are rewarded and, let's say, celebrated in this system, instead of thinking if do women fit in the system or not. So my point, let's think the system. Let's think if you women, you have superpowers that are not in men. So women can get pregnant while men cannot. And that's a good point. So why the system is rewarding somebody who gives all their life for the work instead of rethinking the work? And there are a big movement about thinking of 9 to 5 itself. So let's really, instead of trying to fit women into the system, let's make the system fit men and women. That's my remark. I hope I didn't. If you have any
Do we have
points on that, I would really appreciate them. I'm really trying to look for an answer for this.
So I think does the panel have a comment? I mean, this is, do we fit women into the system? I'm personally, I'm not sure that we're trying to fit women into a system. No. I think, so I would push back and say that we're already in the system. We're 50% of the world, the workforce, etc. There may be some adaptations, and there may be some unconscious bias around, but it's neither one nor the other. It's all of us. But you know, I'm supposed to be moderating, so I'm not responding, ladies.
So I agree with you. It's not about pushing women through the system, and it really goes back to a question that we had earlier about quota. You know, I believe, and I believe most of us up here believe, that it's the best person for the job, whether you're a man or you're a woman. You know, women generally tend to be more dedicated, more meticulous, perhaps even more, you know, conscientious. I don't want to sound like a feminist, and I mean, I'm not trying to, you know, undermine or downgrade men at all. I'm not. I think we're all equals. But I also think it's important for us to have an equal opportunity. But naturally, women tend to do certain things better than men, and that is a fact. And we can't be apologetic for that, you know, as women. There are some things that men do better than women, and you don't need to be apologetic for that. So again, I think it goes back to quality, to capability, to competency. It's the best person for the job. If it's a woman, so be it. And if it's a man, wonderful as well.
Exactly, I totally agree. Thank you for the chance. There is a study by Uber Economics team that they found choices is what makes the difference in the pay gap.
Sorry.
Like to, thank you so much.
Sorry, there's so many more questions. Could we have the mic to the front, please?
I think the blonde lady.
And it's in the front, and then we'll go back to the lady who was just... So, right to the front, please.
Hi, thank you so much for a lovely panel. I really enjoyed it. I have 2 points. The first one is I want to share with you what Dr. Carnes at the University of Wisconsin recent study that was published at the Annals of the Internal Medicine. It looked at these issues, and it looked at what is it that women would face so that they can increase the women in leadership. What they did was they looked at 6 departments at the university, and they introduced them to either take workshops, so this is like a controlled randomized study, and so 1,200 of these people at these departments chose to be in the study, and the other 1,200 ladies and gentlemen who were in the university chose to be controls. They found out that the women in leadership and hiring women totally, you know, as a total in that university were only 22% consistently. And they were able to raise it by 44% after 2 years of just giving workshops. So if you were part of the workshop and you went and you had awareness, and that was for men and women, this changed the way that you deal with things and gave you more awareness. So being a woman and having that feeling and the positive impact are people saying that women are more conscientious, they're more, they have more dedication. These are positive stereotypes, but there are also negative stereotypes. And so whatever you can change your mind. So this has been proven. Second point that I'd like to share with you is what the American College of Physicians is doing right now, which is physician burnout. And I will take this to you as leaders. So a physician is a leader in their community. And I want you to remember that there is a burnout for every and single one of you, and you have to be aware of that. And you have, what we have done about it at the American College of Physicians is to appoint wellness ambassadors. So we would train people to recognize when you have, first thing you lose is empathy with the people that you are working with. They become dehumanized. For me as a physician, and that's a patient, and I am a leader, and I have to do so many things. First thing, if I'm burnt out, I cannot give much, it is the family, it's my children, then things change. So you do need to recognize this when you are mentoring someone, and you have to make sure that this is on the forefront in what you think and what you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And that is absolutely right, that if women are at the top and in those positions, they must ensure that they stay as a great role model.
Do you mind if I add something?
Do you want to make a comment? And then there's a lady with blonde hair in the center who will be the next question.
I just want to tell all the CEOs and all the ministers and all the men in the leading positions, there's a say that says, if you want things done, give it to a busy woman. And that's true. So if you want to get good rates, if you want to get things done, find the busy woman, give her the job, it will be done.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So the lady there.
You're a researcher at Chatham House and a mother of 2 daughters. I'd be interested to know what more the private sector in Saudi Arabia could be doing to make the workplace family-friendly. Historically, there's been quite a strong preference among women for working in the public sector, which seems to have more family-friendly hours. I'd be interested in any comments about issues like flexible working, home working, paid maternity leave, and so forth. Thank you.
Environment.
Ladies, anybody like to pick that one up?
Yeah.
So,
In the private sector or the public sector, the most important thing is to find the right environment for the woman. There isn't any sector that is now not open for women. And when we say right environment, we just say that she has her own space and her own privacy. For example, having a place to rest, having a WC nearby, having a safe place. You don't want a woman working in a dangerous place. So these are the only restrictions available now. Otherwise, every job is available for a woman.
Just there's a lady there, and then somebody here. Last 2 questions. Can we be quite quick, as we can get the mic there? One over there, or one over here? And Liz, I'm watching the clock as well.
Yes, hello. This is Khulud Al-Dakhail. Hi, how are you? First, I want to thank all the panelists, my friends, for doing such a wonderful job to show the world where the Saudi woman has become and reached. My question today actually is for Pam, because I know, Pam, how much you've done to empower women at PwC. And I want to ask you, what do you think is important and what needs to be done, whether from the regulator point of view or the society, that has helped you in your organization to empower women? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Khulud. Really quickly, I actually believe, and we were discussing, we were having a great discussion in the prep room earlier, which would have gone on for hours. I believe that actually setting up proper programs that allow women to understand how to develop themselves, how to understand governance, how to build their CVs, and then combine that with a proper database of people who are ready, because a lot of the male counterparts don't know that this talent exists. And this is what Cranfield did with Women to Watch. So we help people, we build them, we train them, lots and lots of courses, and we introduce them to the men in the organization, and we say, these people are board ready. And it will be fascinating to see that develop.
Pam, can I add something on that? Is that training and training? I've been hearing a lot about training and training. It's really important, yes, but at the same time, we are in a time where we don't have time. And here is where 95% of the future jobs will require digital skills. You're a teacher, you're a doctor, you're a nurse. You need to get yourself knowledgeable in digital skills. And here is where it's very important to set the awareness from now that you are online. Go look for your knowledge. Look for where can you be niche in what you do. I've been hearing a lot and getting some interviews about, oh, you're going to drive, and June is coming, and Saudis are going to drive. What's really making me not sleep at night is like, okay, are these females, when they are riding the self-driving cars, are they going to know how to read the code when the car stops? Now, I think what is the important thing is, let's look at the future and not in the past and what we are present. We have to be equipped for the future.
Thank you so much. And actually, I'm getting a little nod and a wink from Baroness Simons to say that we could talk for hours, but our time is up. I have to say thank you to everybody here for such a wonderful debate. Thank you for the audience participation. We would all like to chat to you later on and give you ideas. And if you If you can take things away with you, though, how can each and every one of us in this room take something away that is going to move the needle and to help look at the future empowerment of women in Saudi Arabia and in the UK, and how we can work as UK and Saudi together to help promote that and to help make this a success, bilateral agreements. So thank you so much to the panelists, and thank you to the audience. Thank you.